walking till she found herself in front of a river. She was so drawn to it and decided to swim, as it has been a very long time since she did. She kept swimming and was enjoying herself, and when it was getting dark, she decided to leave the river. But as she tried to leave, something kept pulling her back, and she became confused and scared. She kept trying to leave, but was pulled back in further. It was then she realized she was all alone in the river. Once upon a time, in the community of Ofere, there lived a maiden named Chinwe. Chinwe is a very beautiful lady who is known for her beauty and charisma. She is a friend you can always count on, especially when you need her. Chinwe had two brothers, and they lived with their loving parents. Chinwe was still unmarried, and that was still a mystery, as she possessed what a man needs in a wife. In the past, whenever a man proposed marriage to her, after a while, the topic would be dropped, and they would go ahead to marry someone else. Chinwe is very hardworking and a very dedicated girl. She loved to farm and help her parents out in the home. She was a lively and cheerful lady. In their village, they had a little stream where they go to fetch water. Unlike the other villages with big rivers, where people from their village would make journeys just to be able to swim. She wished she could go, but has been so preoccupied with housework and little or no time to go out. Her brothers loved her so much, as she was the youngest of them all. No one dared look for her trouble, else you will receive the wrath of her brothers. Most of Chinwe's friends were already married, either to someone in their village, while some have relocated to other villages with their husband. Chinwe was thinking by herself in the room one day, asking herself if she was alright and why men were not coming after her, hoping she was alright. Well, she said, maybe the universe is still preparing a special person for her, and hopefully she would get to meet the person soon. She thought to herself, and then retired for the night. The following day, Chinwe received a message that her friend, who is married and now resides in Algo, that her husband passed away and she was pregnant. She told her parents she would be leaving to visit her friend so she could give her the emotional support she needs. They told her she could stay for a week and return, and she promised to do so. Her parents looked at themselves without words to say. Her brothers, Peter and Chidi, bade their sister goodbye, saying they would miss her and extend their greetings to Adora, who just lost her husband, and told her to return in a week, else they would come to bring her home. She laughed because she knew just how much they loved her, and she would surely miss them. She bade them goodbye and set off on her journey. She arrived at Agwo village and was welcomed by a cool air. As she closed her eyes to let the fresh air move through her body, she heard a voice of a woman saying, "Welcome, my child. Welcome home." She opened her eyes only to see no one around her. She was mesmerized and wondered if she just imagined what she heard, as it was too good to be true. She was already scared and picked up the pace in her foot and asked for directions and made her way to Adora's compound. There, she found her dear friend wailing. She went close to her and tried to console her, but it was as if her presence caused her to wail even more. Later in the day, she advised her friend to please calm down and not cry anymore, as she was pregnant with a child, so no harm comes to her and the baby. She helped her friend out in the home, cooked for her, cleaned, and attended to some guests who came to visit for condolence. That night, before they retired, after she was shown a room she would sleep in, her friend Adora thanked her so much and said she was happy to have her. She cried, saying, "Her world is so lonely. If my mother was still alive, she might have been here," consoling her. She said the mystery behind her husband's death is still something she has not been able to wrap her head around. How can a healthy man go to work and come back only to sleep and not wake up? She told her friend, "Thank you for being with me at this dear time," and she truly appreciates it and that God will bless her. She said it was no problem and they both retired for the night. Chinwe was swimming in a river and some people gathered and surrounded her, bowing and addressing her as a queen. When she wanted to look at her body, she got up from the sleep to a certain knock on the door and realized she has been dreaming. She said that was so strange and made no meaning of the dream. And thinking about it, she had been meaning to visit a river to swim, and she said she will ensure she does that before she leaves for her village, as it has been on her mind to swim for as long as she can remember, as she has never had the opportunity to do so. But the dream she had was still ringing in her mind, and she was a bit skeptical and tried to shake it off. Maybe it was because she has been thinking about the river and how she would go and swim there. 4 days into her trip to her friend's house, she decided to take a casual stroll. She told her friend she would be back, that she wanted to move around the village, and she said goodbye. Little did Adora know that was the last time she would see Chinwe, as Chinwe never returned from the stroll. She sent some boys who saw Chinwe to go look for her, but they came back saying that she is nowhere to be found. She had to send someone to tell her parents about the development and hoping that she went back home. But Chinwe's brothers, Peter and Chidi, came and asked Adora about their sister's whereabouts, and they could not find her. This was too strange, as they had never had an encounter like this before. It was almost 2 weeks just after Adora's husband's burial that Chinwe came strolling in. Adora, on sighting her friend, went and gave her a big hug, asking her what happened. She said she would tell her everything, but she needs her parents and siblings to be present. She told her friend that they would both leave for her father's home the next day. Meanwhile, back home, Chinwe's parents and her brothers have been worried sick and visited medicine men about the whereabouts of their daughter, but they were told she would return at the right time, that she has gone to know more about her people. They were confused, and Chinwe's parents looked at themselves and hoped for the return of their daughter. Adora and Chinwe made the journey very early in the morning, and they barely spoke as Chinwe had been so quiet. They arrived at their compound, and their siblings, upon seeing her, rushed to hug her. When her parents heard her brothers calling her name, they rushed to see their daughter and gave her a hug. They went inside, and the obvious question came up, which was Chinwe answering where she has been. Chinwe said before she narrates her story, she wants everyone here to know that she loves and appreciates them so much. She asked her parents when they were going to tell her she wasn't theirs, and they looked at her with a shock on their face, showing that they dreaded that this day would come. Her brothers asked her parents what their sister was talking about, and their mother began to narrate their story, saying one day, when they were still very little, they had to make a trip to Adora, which was the place she was from. Her parents were just about to leave the village when they saw her wrapped in a basket by the roadside. They picked her up, and as she smiled at them, they knew she was theirs, and they promised to raise her as their own. Chinwe asked why they never said anything to her. They thought it wasn't necessary and did not want her to ask questions, the reason why she was abandoned, and have people side-talk her. So they took her as their own. She asked, "Is that why most men haven't come to marry me?" Because those who knew about this and went asking the usual question they do before they get married probably don't know my roots, right? They nodded in affirmation. She said, "Well, let me narrate my own experience." She said on the fateful day she went strolling, she kept walking till she found herself in front of a river. She was so drawn to it and decided to swim, as it has been a very long time since she did. She kept swimming and was enjoying herself, and when it was getting dark, she decided to leave the river. But as she tried to leave, something kept pulling her back, and she became confused and scared. She kept trying to leave, but was pulled back in further. It was then she realized she was all alone in the river. When she was pulled in, she saw a very beautiful mermaid, and as she thought she would die from not being able to breathe underwater, the creature told her to breathe, and she did. She was surprised she could even speak, and the mermaid took her further down. They sat on a rock far from the riverbank, and the mermaid said, "My daughter, I have missed you so much." Chinwe was puzzled and asked her why she addressed her as her daughter. She said, "No one comes to this river to swim. It is forbidden, and anyone who does dies. But haven't you wondered how you got the direction? Because not many know their way here. And I welcomed you the day you stepped back into this land." Chinwe, obviously very confused, and her mother put a necklace on her neck and she transformed into a mermaid. She was shocked and asked what was going on. She narrated that years ago she fell in love with her father, and though he swam in a forbidden river and was meant to be killed, she saved his life because she liked him so much. As time passed, they fell in love with each other. They consummated their love and she was pregnant with her. A war was about to break out and they wanted you dead. So I sent you to the land for someone to raise you, with hope that when the time is right, you will find your way back. All this information was already too much for Chinwe to digest, and her mother understood her. She told her that with time she would explain everything to her. Her mother also told her that she is the current queen and Chinwe is next in line, that she has to come back and claim her throne, else very soon she would lose her loved one. She was groomed and taught the ways of the fish kingdom and would soon rule their sea. She only begged her mother to let her come back so she can narrate everything, so they would be at peace and not worry about her. Her brothers were already crying at this point, as they were going to miss their sister so much and wondered what they would do without her. She told them that she loved them so much, but have to return to fulfill her purpose. She also dropped some precious stones for them to build their lives with, so they would never have to suffer. She said her mother is truly grateful for what they have done for her. "I will visit as much as I can, and whenever you want to see me, come to the riverbank." She taught them a song to sing and she will answer them immediately. She said she has to go now, that her sea kingdom awaits her. She hugged them and told Ada to be strong, that her son will grow to be strong and will make her proud. She also gave her some precious stones and bade all of them goodbye. Ada and Chinwe went back, and after they got to the river, they hugged. Ada watched as her friend went into the river and transformed into a mermaid, waved her goodbye and left. She also made them promise never to tell anyone anything about what happened, and they all kept it as a secret within themselves. The end. The lesson to be learned from this story is, it is always good to be good. For every good deed you do, there is a reward. You can also drop some of the lessons you learned below. Thank you so much for watching till the end. Please click on the subscribe button to support us. Turn on the post notification to get notified when I upload a new story. Like, share, and comment your thoughts. Till then, bye.